The final episodes of the Batman Season 2 were awesome! The last bump in the road for the Batman from 2004. One of the best DC cartoons in my opinion. Today we're going over the last 3 episodes of Season 2. And I say the last road because after this season there was a bit of a shift in a lot of ways. The show started to change and evolve, introducing characters like Batgirl, Robin, and Commissioner Gordon, as well as members of the Justice League. But that's Seasons 3, 4, and 5. We're talking about Season 2. With all that said, I'm Rocko from Reamlore, and let's dive in. By the way, if you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe. We upload videos just like this one on our Reamlore channel. We upload a great new video every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 3 p.m, so make sure you're subscribed with that bell pressed to get notified when we upload. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, so if you subscribe, it would mean a lot to us. Episode 11, Grundy's Night. We start this episode off on Halloween night. Yes, the Halloween episode. We see 2 kids go up to an old house where some creepy old twins greet them. They scare the kids by saying this isn't just any old Halloween, this is Grundy's Night. They point towards a nearby swamp and tell the tale. 150 years ago today, in that very swamp, a monster rose up from the muck and marched towards Gotham to wreak havoc on the architects who built buildings in Gotham. He got revenge on them, but it wasn't enough. He vowed to haunt the descendants of his victims when he returns during the total lunar eclipse on Halloween. The twin daughters say they know this because they are the granddaughters of one of Grundy's victims. After the kids go, it turns out they were just telling a story, but they soon find out it's real as Solomon Grundy breaks into their home. I love this version of Solomon Grundy. I always felt the big, muscular version was done too much in DC. Pretty much every character had that physique at one point, and this design is great. He's a big, tough guy, sure, but his skin is shriveled and his forearms are smaller, making it look like he's a corpse walking around. He's also very true to the character, played here by Kevin Greavox, who starred in a ton of horror movies and TV shows, so he was perfect for this. At Wayne Manor, Alfred dresses up like Sherlock and gets some trick-or-treaters dressed up like the Joker, Catwoman, and Penguin. Upstairs, Bruce is lighting up a jack-o'-lantern and they start talking about Solomon Grundy. Alfred is afraid of the legend while Bruce thinks it's just that, a legend, until he gets an alert on the Batwave. Batman arrives at the twins' home and asks who did this, and they say it was Solomon Grundy, and that today he has returned. They tell Batman about the other descendants, and Batman arrives to another location to find the building in shambles. Batman sees Grundy and tries to stop him, but the guy is known to be super strong. Some really good animation follows with Batman trying to keep ahead of Grundy, but he's too much, throwing the bat all over the place. Grundy starts taking out the support pillars and knocks down Batman before causing the place to collapse. Batman pulls himself out of the wreckage and sees someone trick-or-treating as Batman. Bruce goes back to Wayne Manor and tells Alfred about Grundy. Alfred has been reading about Grundy and tells him more about the origin. The swamp wasn't always a swamp, but rather a lake, home to the laborers who built Gotham. But 3 businessmen dumped their industrial waste into the lake, turning it into a swamp. The laborers who were Eastern European were kicked out of their homes. They then used their magic on Halloween night during the eclipse and formed Grundy from their swamp. They figured if the industrialists wanted to make sure they had nothing, Grundy would make sure the industrialists had nothing. While the origin is a bit hokey, I think it's pretty ominous and cool. Plus, that's just the legend. We don't know the full detailed story, and that's what makes it more intriguing. Bruce heads down to the Batcave and takes some mud out of his cape to examine it. He's looking for any DNA in the mud so we can learn more about Grundy. He tells Alfred to finish the test while he goes out to find Grundy before the night ends and he goes away for another 150 years. Batman stakes out a wax museum and sees Grundy approaching, noticing he moves pretty fast for a zombie. Batman thinks he trapped Grundy inside, but nothing is in there except for a cat. Alfred calls him with the results and mentions there was DNA in the mud itself, which makes Batman realize the truth. Grundy appears and they fight again, with Batman saying it's time to lose the mask. He claws Grundy's face off and reveals this isn't Grundy. It's Clayface. Earlier when the cat walked out of the wax museum, that was Clayface in disguise. Batman says the Grundy destruction was a cover-up. What Clayface was really after was the descendants' money. Something I haven't mentioned so far, at the other attacks the camera panned to the victims' empty safes. And why would a zombie need cash? I love the twist. Not only was this really well laid out and something you could figure out, but it brings back one of the best villains of the show in a different way. Plus it doubles down on the consequences of episode 7, how indeed Clayface isn't a tragic character anymore. He's a full-on villain. I also really like how Batman doesn't call him Ethan here. He calls him Clayface because he's accepted his friend is gone and he needs to stop this villain. I do have to bring down the Arkham escape counter though. Clayface was last seen in Arkham, but he's running around free as a bird. We're at 14. They get into a big fight and this is filled with tension because Batman has never beaten Clayface in a one-on-one fight. Clayface goes into the wax museum where he can disguise as anyone, forcing bats to follow. It's a pretty cool wax museum around too with some pretty creative designs for the creatures. Clayface starts doing hit and run attacks, but Batman follows a small part of his clay to find him. Using a clever trick, Clayface grabs Batman, but he gets free. They fight near the wax workplace and Clayface is about to melt him, but Batman turns the tables and encases Clayface in the wax. Back at Wayne Manor, Halloween comes to an end with Alfred thinking Grundy may still exist. The same kids who were told about Grundy are at a swamp, but leave when they realize nothing's happening. Unfortunately for them, Grundy does appear from the lake for one last scare as the eclipse finishes. I feel like this was the right call. While the Clayface twist is brilliant, it was a little disappointing we didn't see the real Grundy. This is the creators saying Grundy does exist and maybe we'll use him in the future. I mean, they really don't, but it's nice they tried. Episode 11 comes to an end, but how does it rank? Characterization, I'm giving a 4. The strongest character moments are definitely from Clayface and Batman. Batman accepting that Ethan is gone and he needs to stop Clayface. The story, I'm giving a 5. The Grundy lore we learn in addition to the brilliant Clayface reveal makes this a 5 easy. Entertainment also gets a 5. The fights in this are very cool. First, how Batman deals with Grundy plus the Wax Museum fight. It's nice stuff. Importance gets a 5. It's the return of the fully villainized Clayface and a continuation of the show's biggest story. It's a must-watch. Episode 12, Strange Minds. We open this episode with Yin in her apartment, while also finding a free pizza coupon under her door. She orders the pizza, but the guy on the other end says they'll deliver it in 30 seconds or less. They were telling the truth as Joker arrives to give her pizza and knocks Yin out. Also, he broke out again, so bring back the escape counter, it rolls up to 15. Elsewhere, Bruce is watching the opera where a clown is singing and Bruce is very bored. After the show, Bruce meets up with Hugo Strange, who is admiring the clown costume. Hugo says this costume was worn on stage by the Verse Pagliacci, worth its weight in gold. We learn that Hugo has been promoted to chief psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum, but Hugo is excited about what Wayne Tech is building. Hugo says he finds the criminally insane mind very fascinating and sees some of it as Joker shows up. He's here to steal the clown outfit and Hugo is surprised someone is out of Arkham. Dude, have you not been paying attention? There have been 15 breakouts in the last year. Your asylum is not that secure. Joker goes to attack Hugo, but Batman arrives and they get into a fight, with Batman beating Joker pretty easily. Hugo thinks they are both quite fascinating as Joker admits he kidnapped Yin. We see Yin has been tied up inside of a jack-in-the-box and dressed up like a jester. What's worse is she is surrounded by TNT. At Arkham, Chief Rojas is interrogating Joker, but because he's not very good at his job, he can't figure out where Yin is. Joker says he always wanted to stage his own opera. That's why he kidnapped Yin, and that soon there will be a big explosion unless they let him go. Hugo chimes in by saying Joker will never tell him, so he suggests using his new device. It allows Hugo to tap directly into someone's mind and volunteers to go in himself since it's untested. Batman has also been listening and brings the prototype of Hugo's device to the Batcave, since Wayne Tech had been helping its development. Bruce plans to go into the Joker's mind as well as find Yin's location, but Alfred says this is too risky. He has no choice though, so Hugo and Batman plunge into Joker's mind. Hugo enters Joker's mind and we are treated to a Joker world. Population, him. There are so many funny jokes in this, I can't recount them all. You need to watch this episode for yourself. This is also where we learn that Hugo doesn't care about Yin. He's more interested in learning about the Joker and goes after a kid Joker to learn about his childhood. Batman does care about Yin though, so he arrives on Joker World. Joker tries to kill Batman as he realizes he needs to pluck the subconscious mind for clues. He finds Joker's idea factory and it is filled with filing cabinets. While searching, Batman finds, believe it or not, who Joker was before the chemical tank. This guy is stamping insanity on papers, but all he really wants is to make people laugh. Even though he's terrified of the Joker, he tells Batman where to find the information as Joker cuts out the floor under his good self, and he falls into a vat of chemicals. I love that so much. It's very rare to see this in a Batman cartoon. Joker before he was Joker, and this is handled so well. We get a bit of tragedy here as it's clear Joker was once a normal, nice person before he fell into a vat of chemicals and went insane. There's also the great reenactment of what happened with Batman watching the guy fall. Joker pops out of the vat as we see a flash of Yin dying. At current schemes, Batman sees the jack-in-the-box, but Joker cuts him off. Batman runs into Hugo talking to Kid Joker, and Hugo wonders how Batman got in here. Hugo starts psychoanalyzing Batman and realizes this comes from a past trauma, from failing to save someone. Joker is upset because he's supposed to be center stage and sends Hugo away. Batman runs to the opera where Joker's performing the same play as before. Joker then creates contemplates what he hopes will happen, Yin blowing up and Batman being too slow to save her. Joker says failing to save Yin will drive Batman insane, and he helps that by telling an army of Jokers to beat up Batman and laugh in stereo. Batman starts to go insane, but Alfred's words snap him out of it, giving Batman new determination. Joker ties him up, saying he's pulling the strings and that he'll push Batman so far into his brain he'll never find his way out. Bat starts to go cold, but remembers this is a two-way transmission and drags the Joker out. Joker wakes up to see that Yin is safe and sound with Rojas and Hugo. The good doctor explains while Joker was busy playing with Batman, he was able to find out where Yin was by looking into his subconscious. Joker asks how they didn't find out sooner since Yin was under the Symphony Hall stage, and quickly realizes his mistake. They all take off their masks to reveal Batman. We're in his mind, and this was a trick to make Joker talk. Batman kicks Joker out and goes to save Yin, rescuing her at the very last moment. Joker starts crying, clearly seeing inside of Batman's mind had an impact on him. Hugo ends the episode giving his thoughts, saying while he glimpsed into Joker's madness, he's really interested in the Batman. Characterization I'm giving a 6. Getting glimpses into the Joker's past is really cool. It helps to flesh him out more. Plus, we get more insight into Hugo's character, being very interested in the insane mind. The story I'm giving a 5. It's a very strong story. Entering the mind of a madman is very interesting. Plus, the way Batman saves Yin is very well done. Entertainment gets a 6. There is so much fun going on in all directions with this one. The great action plus all of the references and in-jokes makes this very entertaining. Importance gets a 5. This is a look into Joker's psyche, and we get to see glimpses of Joker's past, making this a must-watch. Alright, the finale of Season 2, Episode 13, Night in the City. We start out this episode with the Arkham escape counter going out of control. Because despite literally last episode seeing Joker locked up in Arkham, here he, Punch, and Judy are flying around in a balloon trying to paint the city white. Their plan is interrupted though as Penguin flies in with his Kabuki girls and starts painting everything black. They start arguing about their turf and destroy their flying machines. They have an admittedly cool stare down that gets even better when a question mark appears on the building next to them. Riddler has arrived with his 6 goons to join the party. What is going on? Why even have them in Arkham if they're just going to run around some more in the next episode? Why not just have them get away at the last second in every episode if you want to use them more? What is the point of arresting them in this universe? It's spitting in the face of Batman's hard work because the police and prison staff are just so inept they can't hold anyone in there. Even the low-level goons break out. I wouldn't even be upset if they gave some narrative as to why they keep getting out, like Hugo Strange letting them escape. But there's nothing. It's lazy writing from episode to episode, plain and simple. So with everyone here previously in Arkham, the Arkham escape counter gets 13 more. So we are at, roll it up, 28 escapes in less than a year. What is wrong with Gotham's prison system? Putting all that to one side though, this is freaking awesome. Not only because I'm a big fan of the Riddler, but because these 3 are the biggest bad guys in Batman's rogues gallery. Seeing them interact is a treat and something you should see for yourself. Riddler proposes a game to settle who gets Gotham. The first to capture and unmask Batman wins the city. So no matter who wins, Batman loses. This also makes me a little sad because this is the very last episode to have the iconic original theme song. For some unknown reason in Season 3 and for the rest of the series, they introduce a new theme song which is just the worst. It's essentially a hip-hop remix of the Adam West Batman theme. 1, it's very poorly remixed like I made it, and 2, it doesn't fit this show's atmosphere and tone. The first song was a perfect dark gothic rock tune that was so well crafted that fit this series perfectly. It makes me so sad that this is the last time I can hear the true theme song for the remainder of the show. So as the turf war continues, Chief Rojas says this is all Batman's fault. Of course he does. This just doesn't hold any weight. He's a bad character. There is no depth to Rojas. This newscast upsets Bruce because he doesn't want to work against the police, but there's nothing he can do. During this newscast, we also meet the new Gotham Commissioner of Police, Jim Gordon. Yes! We're finally bringing Jim Gordon into the show. One of Batman's most iconic characters, the ever-awesome Jim Gordon. He's played by Mitch Pileggi, who does a great job as Gordon. He's giving a statement about how they should deal with this crime wave, that maybe it's time they think outside the box. I'll be the first to admit this isn't my favorite version of Jim because he's a little underdeveloped, and you can't beat the one from Dark Knight, but this is still a good version. Rojas is determined to prove that he is the best officer ever and says they are going to nail the 3 criminals before Batman. Dude, you're not gonna catch Batman or any criminals if the advice you give your officers is try harder. Why not suit up and go after them yourself if you're so great? Yin calls Batman telling him to lay low, but he doesn't want to because of the 3 criminals at large. Batman tells her to meet with him, but Rojas was listening and arrests her. At the meeting point, Batman is ambushed by the police, which upsets the 3 villains all waiting outside. Fortunately for Bats, the lights get killed, allowing Batman to grab Yin and leave. They figure out it was Riddler as they run away from the police in the Batmobile. Riddler continues to help Batman by cutting off the police, which cues Batman in on their bet, especially when Penguin and Joker arrive. Joker and Penguin fly after Batman, leaving their goons behind. Batman and Yin find a transmitter where they thought the blackout started and get a message from Riddler. Joker and Penguin chase after Batman and Yin as they get trapped and rocketed away by the Riddler. When Riddler receives the package, however, he instead caught Joker and Penguin, so he orders his goons to eliminate them. In the Batboat, Batman figured out where Riddler was from his riddle. Again, it's a compulsion. He and Yin go after Riddler while Rojas also follows. This is where Gordon arrives and shows how awesome he is. He figures out that Batman has found the terrible trio and they should stay back and observe where he goes. We also get a little teasing for next season because Batman tells Yin to stay behind because she's not a sidekick. She's a partner. Joker and Penguin, meanwhile, agree to an alliance and take out Riddler's goons. They're about to take down Riddler too, but Batman arrives for the awesome showdown. It's like an old western with everyone standing off, and the fighting is excellent with some of the best animation of the season. Riddler operates a crane with his cane as Batman takes down Penguin. Joker comes close to taking down Batman, but Bats drops a bunch of pipes on the clown, taking him out. Riddler is the last one standing and tries to crush Batman, but Yin deactivated the crane and Batman takes down Riddler. Yin also turned all of the Riddler's question marks into bat signals, showing Gotham exactly who saved them. The police arrive to find the terrible trio along with Yin ready to go to Arkham. Rojas is ecstatic he gets to arrest Yin, but Gordon tells him to back off. Gordon agrees she did break the law, but another way to look at this is she helped bring in 3 of Gotham's most dangerous criminals. Arresting a hero would not look good on the department, especially since Rojas hasn't been able to bring down anyone. Gordon forces Rojas to return Yin's badge, and he says she did a good job. And this is where we say goodbye to these characters. Yeah, I'm not kidding. After this episode, we never see Rojas or Yin again. That is really strange. They never even had a proper send-off or anything like that. The episode ended with both of them still around. You assume they would still play a factor in future episodes. The reason they canned Rojas was pretty obvious. Now that they had Gordon, they didn't really need Rojas anymore. I was a bit disappointed because there was potential for Rojas to be a villain, but frankly, he was a total jerk and I'm happy to watch him leave. Losing Yin was a bigger loss in my opinion. She was a great character and had a fun dynamic with Batman. The reason why she left is debated, but it's assumed that the reason is because Ming-Na Wen couldn't reprise the role. Some say it's because she wanted more money, some say it was because of her schedule. Frankly, we'll never know. I don't totally believe that since you could just replace the voice actor. That happens all the time in animation. If someone can't do their role, you just replace them. It may also be the creators didn't feel like her character was necessary anymore since they were introducing Batgirl in season 3. And if that is the case, fine, but Yin definitely needed a proper send-off. We're not done yet though because Gordon set up the bat signal and called for a meeting with Batman. Gordon tells Batman that chasing him is counterproductive and a waste of resources, so they should form an alliance. He shows off a paper telling the story of how Batman saved everyone, and that everyone is behind Batman. Gordon wants them to work together so they can make Gotham a safe place for his daughter to live in. And of course, Batman agrees, swinging off to end the season. That's the finale, but how does it rank? Characterization, I'm giving a 6. While Gordon is not fully developed, he shows up with all the charm that made Gordon so likable in other Batman projects. Plus, the 3 villains bouncing off each other is fantastic. The story, I'm giving a 4. It's a pretty weak story, to be honest, just 3 criminals trying to unmask Batman, but it's elevated by the grandeur of the game. How the biggest criminals in Gotham are competing to take down Batman. Entertainment gets a 5. The fighting is excellent, exceptionally good animation, and this makes it a highlight of the whole series. Importance also gets a 5. It's the big season 2 finale and the introduction of Jim Gordon. It's a pretty important episode you shouldn't miss. That brings season 2 to a close, as well as our journey delving into the world of the Batman. Thank you all so much for watching this series. It was one of my favorite shows to watch, and I had a lot of fun making this series. So thank you to everyone who watched the videos. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.